Louise Hay from BeHealing.com. Thank you so much for joining me in this video, The Healing Path to Abundance. And so what I'd like to do is tell you about my journey, my healing path to abundance, to help you to follow those same steps so that you can take yourself through this same healing process to be able to allow abundance and experience abundance in your own life. Now, what I know from my journey is that people like me are giving people. I'm a healer. I like to give. I like to help people. And I've read a couple of kind of abundance books in my life. The big one being Napoleon Hill's Think and Grow Rich, and a couple of others as well. And got some great kind of methods in those to kind of attune myself to abundance, but what I found was it wasn't working. And so you might experience this too. You might be doing all of those things that you think or you're told that you should do, and it will create abundance for you. Things like, affirmations, things like focusing on abundance instead of focusing on lack, things like this. Many of you I know are doing those things, and I was doing those things too, and they just weren't working. And so I started asking my guys, I'm like, why is this not working? Show me how to experience abundance in my life. And what I was shown was that the process of experiencing abundance when you are a giving person is very different than the process of experiencing abundance when you are, say, more in the kind of old paradigm, kind of a masculine kind of society where you are more of a taker, really. And so these processes are very different. And so this is the path that I was taken on, and it was very exciting. And so I'll give you a bit of background about my abundance journey in my life. So starting off, of course, before I was born, because our parents are the ones that pass on their issues to us because they teach us. And so first of all, my mum was born in a poor family, and she always felt that she was worthy of more, and so she felt she deserved more. She kind of felt that she was born in the wrong family, almost like princess being born in the wrong place at the wrong time and the wrong family. And so this is how she felt. And so as she grew up, she had this definite desire to want to experience abundance because of that. Okay, and my father, he was brought up in a poor family too. And my father has a very entrepreneurial kind of spirit, and so he was always thinking up ways to get himself out of that predicament and create these things for himself. And so he had a very strong desire too for abundance. And so of course these two got together because they had matching desires, and they could help each other on that whole quest, in many other areas as well, but in the quest for abundance. And so they got together, and I was born. And what I noticed when I was growing up, so I was taught, I started off as a baby with very, very high self-worth, which we all have when we're born. I was like, okay, so a baby's born, and straight away, the slightest discomfort, the slightest bit of hunger, anything, and you'll scream, because their self-worth is so high that they know that they deserve to have everything sorted out for them, that things should be sorted out instantly and everything should be okay for them. And so we're all born with that, with our self-worth right up there. And then what happens is you get taught, based on the beliefs of your parents or those people that are around you, taught to be more like them, okay? And so if their self-worth is low, then they will teach you to bring your self-worth down to match where they're at, okay? And so this is what happened with me. And so even though my parents had this idea that they wanted to experience abundance, they hadn't yet changed the self-worth. They hadn't brought their self-worth up to match that. And so even though they wanted to experience it, they didn't really feel like they deserved it. So they were always comparing themselves with other people. They were always kind of feeling like they weren't really worthy of it. They were trying to control the money as well. And so growing up in that kind of environment was, I was taught on one hand to have very good money skills by my father, because he was really good with money skills in apportioning money out, in saving, and all of these really, really useful money skills. But I was also taught that I wasn't worthy. Okay, and so if I wanted something and I asked for something, then that control aspect would come in, and so another member of the family would have to miss out if I were to have what I wanted. Or say if I wanted something, there would have to be a trade-off. I'd have to give up something else. And so these messages were constantly given to me that I wasn't really worth it. It's things like if something really good happened to me, or if I received something that was really good, because they didn't feel worthy, they would just say little comments like, "You didn't deserve that," and so those things, they bring your self-worth down. And so there I was, not realising, but my self-worth was brought right down. And so I went to university and met other kinds of people whose self-worth was higher than mine, and kind of learned a bit from them, and my self-worth started going up a little bit. Then I got pregnant with my eldest son and moved back home, and that caused bigger self-worth problems, because then the whole judgment of being pregnant and not being married and all of that was put on me, and so my self-worth got right back down low again. And so I spent my 20s kind of defiantly being independent and wanting to experience abundance too, because I'd picked that up from my parents, that I want to experience abundance, but I was kind of doing it in a very defensive way. And so I was working in a job that was paying me a lot of money, and it was increasing, the money was increasing. I bought a house, a big 6-bedroom house, which was dilapidated, and did it up and made a lot of money from that too. I ended up at the end of my 20s with a lot of money. I was earning a lot of money. I had a big house, I had a brand new car that I'd paid for in cash. Seemingly I had it all, but I wasn't happy inside. And so this caused me to ask questions of myself like, well, if the money that I've been striving for isn't making me happy, then what will? What is life about if that's not what life's about? And so what I did was I threw the baby out with the bathwater. I got rid of everything. I decided that I was going to follow my healing path, because I knew inside that I was a healer, and I was going to give up my corporate job and I was going to follow this healing path. And I decided to put the money with that as well and throw the money out. I thought that money was part of the problem. And so rather than just following my healing path and keeping the abundance that I'd created for myself, I threw that away. And so I spent a few years doing voluntary charity work, funding myself, giving money to various people and charities and all sorts of things, and ended up with nothing. And so in my 30s I kind of went completely the opposite way, and of course, and got many lessons from that, because when you're not balanced, when you're not receiving back, you're not allowing yourself to receive back the same value as you're giving out, you get hard lessons. And so I got hard lessons. I was doing this charity work and I'm finding a lot of the time that I hadn't even really been asked for the help in the first place, and that I wasn't really helping these people out that I was trying to help. I attracted toward me very greedy people that would take what I was offering to them and then not appreciate it and ask me for more and get quite irritated and start bullying me for more. And I was attracting this all around me, and it wasn't very nice at all. And so I moved to Australia in my 30s and started to do my healing practice. So I'd kind of shifted from doing all charity work and trying to help people for nothing despite myself, and decided to want to redress this balance and start receiving. And of course what happened was I set up a healing practice here in Australia and was just making enough to get by on. Even though I wanted to accept money back because I'd learned that balance is important, I hadn't quite got the full story yet. And so I had this, what seemed like a ceiling all the time, of only being able to generate my needs, enough for my needs, instead of what I really wanted. Yet inside I knew that the work that I was doing was amazing. So my self-esteem was high and all of that. But what I hadn't really figured out was that my self-worth was still right down there. I hadn't ever changed it, no matter what I'd done, whether I'd had a lot of money or when I had no money. My self-worth was still where it had been brought down to when I was growing up. And so things like I was working at a healing centre, okay, and I was renting a treatment room at a healing centre, someone else's healing centre. I'm working there for a few days, and I would get many clients. My days would be packed full, but because the healing centre was taking a large percentage of that for me using their room, I would still just have enough to get by. And so I thought, as a business person, I thought, well, wouldn't it be great if I had my own shop, and then I'd be paying much less shop rent than I was paying to this healing centre, and then I'd be earning much more and have my full days of clients and be earning much more. And so that's what I did. I moved to my own shop, started paying a lot less rent, and what happened is my customers didn't come with me. Instead of having full days, I started having 3 or 4 customers, and my income stayed exactly the same level. And this made me really take notice, because it made me realize that the factor wasn't the percentages that I was giving out in rent and what I was accepting for myself. It was purely about what I was accepting for myself. There was a limit. There was a limit on what I was accepting for myself. And so I went about trying to figure this out. Why have I got this self-imposed limit on myself and the amount that I can earn? Because within me, I just wanted to help more and more people. It was frustrating to only be able to help 2, 3, 4 people a day, when I knew that I had potential to see like 7 in-person clients a day, and with my online work, see so many more people a day and reach so many more people. Anyway, so then I decided to give the shop up when I started getting really busy online. And so still, even though I was really busy online with my online work, with Be Healing work, I was still charging very little, working many hours. I'm talking 12 hours a day, 7 days a week on the Be Healing work, and still earning exactly the same amount of money, just getting by. All the time my guides were giving me these great ideas, and I was being really creative and expressing myself in different ways, creating new ways to help people heal themselves. And on the creative side, and from my personal point of view, what I was giving out is great value, yet I still wasn't getting what I wanted back from it. And so yes, I've got a nice lifestyle, but I still haven't got my own house. I don't go on holidays and things like that. And it's like, well, I'm doing the work, I'm putting lots of value in, so why am I not getting these things back? And then something really key happened. I'd been writing a book for the last few years, and when it was published, I said to my guides, great, so now I can receive money back from this book, and my guide said no. And I thought, well, why can't I receive back? And they said, because you're not ready yet. Okay, and so they said, well, what do you want to do? What did you want to achieve with this book? And so my response was, I want to help millions of people with it. I want millions of people to be able to read this book and for it to change their lives, for them to become more conscious and aware of themselves and how to heal themselves every day of their lives, so that they can really get on this healing path to create the best life that they want. And so what my guide said to me was that I cannot do that. I can't reach millions of people until I'm ready to receive the millions of dollars back of return energy from helping millions of people. So in other words, if I were to sell 1 million of those books, I need to first be ready to receive about $10 million in royalties. And my guide said, you're not ready. And so I felt ready. I thought that would be very nice to receive that money. I could do a lot of things with that money. I could start off new initiatives. I've got plenty of things that I could do with that money, not just for myself, but bigger ideas that I have to help others too. And so it was quite confusing to me that they were telling me that I wasn't ready for it. And so because I had this book now and it was published, and I was really wanting to get to the bottom of this and figure it out, it gave me huge impetus to sort it out. And so my healing guides, my spiritual guides, took me on this journey to learning and releasing these things that were holding me back. Okay, and so this is a process that I take many people through my work anyway, with relationships, with in all sorts of areas in their life, to get rid of the blocks that are holding them back. And now I kind of turned it around on myself, as I always do anyway, but turned it around on myself to get rid of my abundance block. And the journey that I took was very interesting, or that I was led through was very interesting. And so this journey, first of all, it was to learn what I was offering and the value in what I was offering. Okay, so I already had high self-esteem. I had this complete knowing that what I'm doing is right because it's coming from my spirit. It brings me joy and it helps people in incredible ways. I know that already. I'm really firm in that. But what I found out on this journey is that my self-worth wasn't matching it, and I'd kind of thought that it was the same thing, self-esteem, self-worth, it was all kind of the same thing, but I learned that it wasn't. And so even though I was fully appreciating myself and what I was doing, even though I'm fulfilling my spirit's purpose, I'm in the right livelihood for me, even though my relationships around me are really good as well, because that's something else that I've healed in my life. I only have supportive people around me now, and I've healed those relationships in my life. Even though I was doing all of the affirmations and focusing on abundance and talking about abundance and releasing any thoughts about the past that came up about lack and things like that, I was doing all of that work. What that led me to do next was to really understand that self-worth is something completely different. And self-worth is something, it's like a dollar value, because money is a transactional note to give to somebody, to receive from somebody, to represent an exchange of energy. Okay, so when people started trading with each other, doing things for each other and not just being independent, looking after themselves, what they would do was they would swap things. And then when they started going further afield and being in different places, they needed to, instead of taking a cow to another village, they needed to be able to kind of transact better, and so they invented money. And so money is really it's our basis for self-worth. It can be our basis for self-worth because worth is about the value of our energy, okay? And so when you are providing value to the world, you deserve to receive value back for yourself. And so although I didn't have any negative beliefs around money anymore, what I wasn't doing was kind of tying it into myself, was putting a monetary value on myself and what I do and what I have done and what I have. And so I was taken through this process of actually doing that. And when I went through that process, it revealed the disparity between what I knew in my mind that I was worth and the work that I was doing and producing, the value that I was producing, and what I was actually feeling, what that inner belief was. And it showed me that my self-worth was so different. My inner self-worth was so much lower than what I knew and what my higher self knows. So I was taken through this process, and interestingly enough, when I was healing, many years ago when I was healing this negativity toward money that I had, and so there was a time when, at the end of my 20s, when I kind of threw the baby out with the bathwater, got rid of all my money. That was because I was feeling bad about money. I thought that money was the problem. And so I had very negative feelings about money. I had a belief that I would rather be doing what I love and be poor than be not doing what I love and have a lot of money. I was putting money together with those things, even though that there was really no correlation. In my mind there was a correlation, and so I had to go through this process of releasing those negative beliefs about money. And when I was doing that, a really interesting thing happened, is that there were a group of people, spiritual people, who had the same negative beliefs about money, and they all got together because they decided that they wanted to create a better way of being, and of swapping their services with each other. And so they set up this swap scheme, and so everyone could go along to this organisation and swap their services or their products with somebody else. And as this grew, as it attracted more people, they realised that sometimes there would be like three-way swaps. So somebody would want someone's services, and they'd want their product, but they wouldn't want their product, and so it became more complicated. So they started to make these notes, and they realised that there was different values as well. And so people had different products, different services that are all worth different amounts of money, well, worth different amounts of value. And so they not only made these notes so that this three-way or four-way or 100-way swap could happen, but with different values on it. And as soon as they did that, they realised that they'd reinvented money, and that there was no point in this, because what's the point in having an organisation where you can only deal with a certain amount of people that are involved in that, or you can just use money and be able to trade with everybody in the world. And so what they'd invented was money, but in a restrictive way, and so they kind of gave up, because they had got what the universe was trying to tell them, that money isn't the problem, that what they were actually wanting was money, that the solution that they were looking for was money. And so it had them reinvent money all over again. And that's really interesting, because it just shows how important money is to us, and how integral it is to not just to what we do and the way that we trade with people, but for our self-worth. And so what happened when I was taken through this process of really understanding what my worth was, I contacted some customers of mine to find out the value that I had provided them. And so I just chose two customers that have been with me probably for a year or so, and the other one for probably about 6 months or so, and asked them if they were to be offered some money to have the help that I've given them taken away from them, how much would that money, what would their price be to have it taken away from them? Now the response that I got back from one of them was no less than $1 billion. She just didn't want to go back to where she was before she had my help. And the other said no less than 10 billion. Again, they both were saying, well, even then they'd think about it, they would really think about it, because they didn't want to go back to where they were before they had my help. Now, when I got those responses, my response was emotional. It made me cry, because even though I knew that I was providing great worth and great value and was really helping people, I hadn't yet understood the true value of that, the true worth of myself and what I was giving. And so to hear that was a truth for my higher self, that's how much I was worth. But my feelings, my emotional self was thinking that I was worth this. And so the distance between those things gave me this emotional response. And as soon as I had this emotional response, the thought that was in my mind was, I wish that my family valued me in this same way. And so there I had it, the key to what was holding me back. It wasn't about how my family thought about me or how they valued me, of course. It was that I was holding myself to that same value system as my family had had. And when that became clear to me, that allowed me to release those beliefs that I picked up from them about my self-worth. It allowed me to release them. Using some techniques that I use with my customers to release emotional attachments quickly, instantly. And so once I'd released those blocks, wow, the difference that it made was incredible. Suddenly I was attracting multimillionaires around me. Suddenly my phone was ringing, people were offering me things, people wanted to interview me on the radio, people wanted me to do public speaking. The amount of opportunity that came in immediately after that release was just incredible. And it felt like I'd suddenly zipped up there and I was just flying now. And so what I want to do is to take you through that same process. So what I've done is I've put together a video program, and this video program is 10 lessons and 10 lots of exercises within these lessons, so that you can take however long you need with these lessons. And so I take you through learning to appreciate yourself first of all, and appreciate not just yourself but money and abundance and your higher self and all of that. It's learning to appreciate your worth. Then take you through how to get yourself aligned with your right livelihood. And so, because when you're giving from your spirit, when you're giving from your heart, when you're fulfilling that life purpose that you've got, that's when abundance comes to you. And so I'll take you through that. Then I take you through how important right relations are, and so the relationships that you have around you, and whether they're showing you where your blocks are, or whether you've released those and they're kind of supportive and taking you forward. Then I take you through your beliefs about lack and how to release those. Again, these are all in separate videos so that you can do them in your own time. So you might have already worked on your relationships, and you might only have supportive people around you, and you might have sorted that part out of your life, and so you'll be able to quickly get through that section and maybe spend longer on the right livelihood section, and spending a lot of time on those exercises in there. And so after you've gone through the lack, I'll take you through your finding out what your true worth is and getting you aligned with that next. And so having you aligned with abundance is such a key aspect of it. Then I'll get you balanced. Okay, so one of the biggest things that I learned in this is about balance. It's about balance of giving and receiving. It's about being balanced in your life with work and play, and it's about balance in all of the areas, because if you're not balanced, you get lessons, and it's the lessons that are not what you really want to create in your life. And so once we've been from balance, then I'll take you through some ways that you can increase your allowing of abundance in your life. So these are direct ways in which you can start to actually increase the way that you're attracting abundance in your life. And after that, then I'll take you through how to stay emotionally balanced through it all. Okay, so this is a really important key behind it all as well, especially in the healing path to abundance, is being emotionally stable throughout it all, because when you're emotionally unstable, then your abundance will be unstable too. And then I'll take you through the ongoing path. So life is an ongoing path, you're always growing, and the path to abundance isn't some goal that you're going to achieve. There's not going to be some kind of a lid on it. You're not going to get to a certain point and want no more. You're going to constantly evolve with that. And so this whole program, you're likely to go through it over and over and over. And I know that I have been through each of these steps again and again and again, getting more clarity, more information, taking the step up each time, and with this program you can do that. And so if you want to join me in this program, then the details are below. It's an instant download video program. You get 10 lessons with the exercises to take you through this healing path to abundance. And as I said at the start, it's for people that like to give. It's very different than the usual programs for accepting abundance into your life, because it's geared toward people that are healers, people that are givers, people that are carers, okay? More feminine kind of traits. And so that you can learn the things just to add on to the focus and the affirmations and all of that part of it, the law of attraction part of it. Add on to that and add the healing elements to heal your past, to heal the now, and to actually open yourself up to abundance. And I can tell you, it is well worth it. My life has changed so much in the last few months since I completed this stage of the process anyway, because of course I'm still going through it, the path's ongoing. and I want to share that with you. And so I hope that you join me in this journey. The details are below of how to join in this program, and once you've joined the program, you'll be invited to weekly webinars as well, and so I'll use my psychic skills in order to answer your specific questions. So if you're going through the program, you're getting stuck on something and you need a little bit more help, then come along to those webinars and I'll help you with that. So thank you so much for your time, thank you for listening to me, and I wish you all the best on your healing path to abundance.